So first off, the skating. Okay. And this is in no specific order. You know, my girl, I love her, right? She came out in that latex outfit and rocked
She
the
Jimi Hendrix
out that.
Crushed it.
Absolutely. Crushed it. So he brought so many elements. So that, Alicia Keys came out there doing her thing with her red on. Come on, Alicia. You're looking good, girl. Shoot. Nobody don't believe you don't look like you have any kids out here. You know, and thanks, shout out to Swiss Beats for letting you get on stage with Usher, because you know Usher is Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Don't leave your girl around me.
Right. So Jermaine Dupri, like I said, you know, we used to
That's my only criticism. What the hell was he wearing?
I knew you were going to say it.
That's my only complaint about it. I had to look back and I was like, what in the Oompa Loompa?
Jermaine's got to be different. He's got to do his own thing.
JD.
Who styled him? I don't know.
The question is, did somebody style him or did he do his own thing?
I think he must have done himself.
You're saying the stylist wouldn't have let him?
No.
I don't know. Atlanta's kind of avant-garde now. I can see a stylist in Atlanta.
Exactly. I mean, he's done everything.
Because look at Janelle Monáe and look at some of the people from Atlanta.
Look at Andre 3000.
Look at Andre 3000. You know, Atlanta has its own
Young Thug.
That was definitely not sexy.
I'm sorry.
Not sexy. I'm sorry, Jermaine.
Yeah, JD, we love you, bro. But, you know, I'm not going to talk bad about your socks, but I heard a lot of negative press about the socks, about the ruffle socks.
That's what I wore to church when I was a little, you know, the ruffle.
The ruffle socks, roll down socks.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Hey, but I respect your originality. Be a trendsetter. You know what I'm saying? Not a sheep.
It's not going to be a trend though.
It might not. Oh God.
30 years from now.
It's not gangster, you know. But it still was good to see JD. It always is good to see him out there doing his thing, because I have so many memories associated with him, his music, the Brat, Crisscross, all the other so deaf stuff.
He's
you know
a
what
genius.
I mean? Yeah. He's the man.
Genius.
So shout out to JD. So then Lil Jon, always crunk, always
another
crunk,
genius.
In the true way we get crunk in Atlanta,
exactly.
in the ATL. And Turned Down for What. So he brought that out. Luda came out doing his thing, as always. He's a timeless rapper. He's getting older just like the rest of us, but he's still relevant.
I saw he opened for Janet's latest tour, and honestly, he was good, but them all together,
that's
totally
what I'm talking
story.
about.
But the thing that I liked is that Usher picked, obviously, his people he's worked with, but nobody tried to like compete like the way J-Lo and Shakira.
It was a symbiotic freaking.
They knew that they were there to like highlight his career and all his hits that they worked with together.
Come on.
Like, that was a different vibe.
I think that's the Atlanta culture.
Right.
It's just fun, man.
But it was his show.
It was the Atlanta culture then. I don't think it's real. I like go back
right.
a lot now. It's
You're
changed.
right.
The environment's changed.
Yeah.
But he like so. Okay, so got a couple more here. And then
Go ahead.
Okay, so Ludacris, the Cirque performance. Okay, so Cirque du Soleil, one of my favorite shows everywhere. It started out with the Cirque performers. I don't know if you noticed that, right? There were people bouncing on other people's heads. And then he brought out
somebody catapulted
up and across the thing.
Uh-huh.
Cirque performers. One time we were at a hotel and we were staying at the Wynn in Vegas.
Right.
And there was a guy. I'm in the gym all the time working out, even when I'm traveling. And there was a dude who was like balancing on one of those balls on one foot, doing curls. Like the strength and amazing agility of Cirque performers is like outer worldly superhero shit.
Wow.
And so, and who will tell you, I talked about before we ever went to see Cirque, I went to Mongolia back in the 90s, right? Or maybe early 2000s. Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, where I was the only black person there for sure, right? But that's always fun, except for in America. Everywhere else, it's fun because they're like, oh, I've never seen a black person, and they want to take pictures with you. It's not like, they're not trying to freaking keep me from drinking out of water. But anyway, it's Black History Month, so we won't talk about that. But anyway, but I told her I went to a strip club in Mongolia. I'm going to put a part of this in my chapter. But I went to the strip club because one of the people from the embassy said, you have to go to this strip club and see the acrobats. And I was like, you had me at strip club. So now I have a good excuse for going. We'll check it out. So we went to the strip club, right? And it's a cool strip club. Very interesting. Mongolia. So I can say I went to a strip club in Mongolia. But what was more cool were the Mongolian acrobats. They said these kids most of them were teenagers or like young adults. They said they start this at like as soon as they can walk. Wow. But I was like, I've never seen the closest acrobats I've seen to anybody like them are some of the Russian acrobats. And in the Cirque shows, the only people you really see besides the Mongolian, the Asian ones that you see, they're all the Mongolian acrobats are usually from Eastern Europe. But he even brought out they had the Mongolian acrobats out there killing it. So they had the Cirque Mongolian.
I gotta watch it again. I've watched it a couple times.
See, I caught all this, and
you pick up something. Like,
it's on Apple.
time.
You could actually. It's good enough where I just bought it. So I just bought it and downloaded it. So I can, because Apple sponsored it, and that's a good thing. So you can watch it on Apple TV, but you can also buy a copy just like you buy a video or a song from Apple. It's $2.
I think there's a big difference from Apple versus when Pepsi used to sponsor.
It was way more organized. Even the commercials and everything.
With
Did you
Apple?
see the commercial with Tim Cook and Luda, and they lost Usher or whatever?
Apple's no joke.
Yeah, that was great.
Apple's no joke. You know. So a couple more. The band got to represent recognize Jackson State. HBCU came out there, did their thing. They were crushing it. You said something. The last two, the pole dancers. Okay, growing up, my developmental years from being 19 till about, 25, 26 in Atlanta.
Spent 'em in this
all the good Freaknik years, when Freaknik was
Cheetah.
No.
Wish I could have made it.
See, no, the Gold Club.
I lived outside of Atlanta
Club
too.
Club
so
Cheetah.
I know about that.
Right. So yeah, you're right. Cheetahs, the Blue Flame. These are some like the more less prestigious, nicer ones. And then we went to the top two, Magic City and Club Nicky's. Right. Home of the freaking strippers making it rain. Stripper culture blew up. This whole thing. That's all ATL, baby.
Yeah.
The freaking strippers making college money in one night, that's all ATL. So the stripper culture there is crazy. So I thought that was kind of cool. They represented that. And, we can relate to that in Tampa because it's often said statistically that Tampa has the most strip clubs per capita of any place in the country.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting concept.
But yeah, Atlanta strip. And like you said, it was not, he just he brought out real pole dancers.
Mm-hmm.
And that, we all, if you all know,
Talent
it's
and difficult.
Oh, it's really challenging. So he brought out just so many elements of what represented Atlanta. And then, like you said, basically they gave everybody a vision or an inside look into what Atlanta was like, what Atlanta felt like. And it just kind of, that show felt like Usher put Atlanta on his back and everybody contributed, like you said, to represent Atlanta and celebrate Usher's, success. And it was just amazing.
I think the amazing culmination of his show is that he combined Atlanta, he combined R&B, and he also combined Vegas performers all together. So it was whatever you're into. Like you could say, I don't like R&B, but the Cirque du Soleil, they were
right.
amazing.
Who doesn't like Cirque du Soleil?
Exactly. The band was amazing, and maybe you like pole dancing. That was amazing. Maybe you like roller skating. That was amazing. It was
his backup dancers, freaking blazing.
Oh, all day, and it all went together. It wasn't like, oh, this segment we're going to do this. It all blended in together.
The production value, the production quality of it, the way it was directed and produced, it was just amazing. There's a list of Super Bowl performances, the top 10 by viewership, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to read that to you guys and let me know what you think. At the end of this, no, those people I read off, they performed at some point in time. Remember I said Prince and Michael Jackson. So neither of them make the top 10 according to this list. All right, so according to this list, you have number 10 was Jennifer Lopez and Shakira with 104.1 million viewers, right? And this is just for the show. This is not for the actual...
They tuned in just to watch
Right, it could be different numbers for the actual game. Mm-hmm. Because with Rihanna's, there actually was. More people watched her than watched the game. So 10 was Jennifer Lopez and Shakira with 104. Justin Timberlake, the second time, was 106.6 million viewers. Black Eyed Peas, 110.2. Beyonce had 110.8 million viewers. Madonna had 114 million viewers at number 6.
Wow.
Bruno Mars had 115.3. Coldplay had 115.5. Lady Gaga, 118 million. Katy Perry was number 2 with 121 million viewers.
How?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Rihanna had 120,
a good show,
around 122 million viewers, which was, I think, about. They said,
forgot about Rihanna.
She was number 1.
Rihanna was last year.
And she was.
I got my year. Yeah.
I got her.
And she had the most.
I didn't want to say it, but
go ahead.
So she had the most viewers of any Super Bowl. Uh-huh. Now I'm gonna call bullshit on the way they class because I think to some degree. It's no surprise that some of the people that ranked higher were more recent because the way technology and the internet and
it's an expectation.
The exposure,
the exposure and the media is different. The accessibility is much different,
right.
For people to watch it. Like there was a time when you could only watch the Super Bowl on the channel that it was going to be on, right?
Yeah.
now you can watch it a trillion different places. So, like I said, so of those 10 that I read off, are any of those in you guys top of the 10 that I just read off that by the numbers are top 10? Are any of those in you guys top 3?
So you're talking about, top 5, or let's say top 5. So for me, my top 5, because I watched a whole bunch of these last night. I couldn't sleep. I was so hyped up, and I had a little too much tequila after the game. Well, during the game.
During the game. We appreciate you you pulling yourself together and coming out today to do this and doing the research and everything.
And it was early today too.
Look at you.
But so I would say for me, the top, definitely number 1, I have to say Michael, because
come on now. I'm just going to go ahead and pound it out because that's my number 1.
He came on and he just stood there for at least the first minute, and he didn't have to do anything. Like his presence.
When somebody told me Bruno Mars was kind of like Michael Jackson, I was like, I will slap the piss out you, lady. But no disrespect to my elders, because we were seeing Bruno Mars. I love Bruno Mars. We saw him here. We saw him in Vegas, and I paid a lot of money to see him 3 times. So I clearly like him. But I'm also keeping it real.
Like Usher that are allowed to, take the persona and kind of make it a little like the glove. Like you could obviously
him, Chris Brown.
Chris Brown. Yeah, but
just not in concert. His concerts,
But nobody would say that Usher is better than. Nobody's gonna say that. And the thing is, he didn't need to have this crazy production because it was just him and.
Right. So you said number 1 is Michael Jackson for you. So what? Yeah.
My number 1 is Michael.
Now, did you listen to my list? So wait, first of that, we're gonna know the answer anyway.
Number 2 is Prince.
Okay.
And this is another one. You don't need this crazy huge production. Him just playing his guitar and being Prince. And his music, because he was such an amazing performer. If you go back and watch some of these, like Rihanna to me looked like she could care less to be there. Like she just wasn't, maybe because she was pregnant, I don't know. But I definitely would not put her in the top 10.
I actually liked her performance. I thought it was,
liked it.
I thought it was
good.
The pregnancy.
But I felt like she just, even the effort that she gave was like, okay, you're in one of the biggest stages of, I just didn't feel the.
But you know what?
Oomph.
I think it's probably because she's pregnant. Because have you seen her in concert?
No.
I've seen her in concert, and she brought the pain.
Right.
To me, the concert I saw of hers was much better than her Super Bowl performance.
I think she's over it. Like didn't she say that she retired from like music and performing?
Yeah, I don't. So one. So
that.
you're 1, 2. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
My 1, 2. I would have to say Usher is number 3.
And that's
so Michael, Prince, and then Usher, and definitely the noteworthy of course Beyonce. I love J-Lo and Shakira, but I thought that they were like competing with each other. Like it kind of just annoyed me. Like when Pepsi was doing it, they would try to appease everybody in the Midwest, and you can't do that. You have to say you're the headliner. You make
do
the
your
show,
thing.
Bring some people.
That's it.
That was such a better vibe than having these random people that would probably not even talk to each other. Like who was with Coldplay? Of course, they want to appease to another audience, and I think people were complaining because Usher didn't bring Justin Bieber, but he clearly had a very specific agenda.
Justin Bieber's an amazing performer, amazing talent. I don't care about the whole weird stuff he has going on, even though Ferrari put him on the no-fly list because he did something dumb with the car, so he can't buy another one from them. That's a mention that we'll toss out there. But at the end of the day, but he exists because Usher's the guy who put him there. Mm-hmm. So I don't think Justin Bieber's like, man, I can't believe Usher didn't bring me, because there was somebody else.
No, I don't think so, but a lot of people said that
there was another Latin artist that a lot of my friends were like, they wonder if Usher's going to bring him out or something. I don't remember who it was. Do you remember who it was? Some Latin artist.
I've seen Bieber, and why does he have to bring anybody? He can bring
he's been doing this for 30 years. So have you ever seen Michael Jackson live?
No, unfortunately.
Because you're your baby.
He died while I was in medical school.
Right. What about who has neither? That's what we talk. She loves Janet, so we've seen Janet. I've seen Janet with her
Janet
3
twice.
times, and she's seen her
I've seen
maybe
Madonna like 3 times.
I've seen Madonna once, but I loved her. So did you ever see Prince live?
No, I didn't get to see Prince.
Okay, so this is the reason that, like I said, for me, I'm trying to be objective and separate them just as I saw Michael Jackson twice. I saw him solo, and I saw him with the reunion tour with the Jackson 5. Both amazing. I've seen just about everybody we talk about seeing. I love my comedians. I've seen just about every comic that I wanted to see on the planet, at least once. And I've seen mostly everybody, every entertainer, including like some of the classic rock, like the Eagles and even the freaking other, Black Sabbath and AC/DC. I even saw those because I like a lot of music, a wide variety of music. There's nobody on the planet like Michael Jackson to me. And it's like what you said is a sample of, you could watch concert videos of Michael Jackson, but it was like that. The energy in real life felt like it was witchcraft. It felt like it was freaking witchcraft.
To perform.
Absolutely.
The energy in that place had the hair standing on your neck standing up. It's like, and grown men, and I think we talked about this before, are just screaming and passing out like little kids. It's crazy. Mike stood, like you talk about how he stood there in the Super Bowl. I watched him stand there in concert at least 5 minutes, and he's blowing, and people are just losing it for the whole time. He isn't singing anything. He isn't doing anything. He came out, kicked, boom. Yeah. The wind starts blowing, and people just start losing their shit. Man, that is freaking so
powerful.
Yeah. So Michael Jackson, Prince, and then Usher is your top three, and then you have some honorable mentions, like you said.
But I said I'm partial because I feel like I had that key moment of like being at his concert before he really blew up in there was no social media. All we had was VH1 and MTV to show us like what was going on. And when My Way came out and he was dancing and he was so good looking and his body, like, come on,
Right. So
you didn't find that in Orrigsburg, Pennsylvania, where I'm from.
Right. No, so we're not okay. So we're gonna get what's your E? What are your top three? You think?
So
if you want to do honorable mentions, you can go down to 5 like she did. We'll let you have honorable mentions after 3, but
definitely Mike, and then is Usher. I think, and I don't know who my third want to be. I think I'll say possibly Dr. Dre, in this new era. Like you said, like you touched on, exactly. There's been 3 eras, I think, of Super Bowl performances. The first one was the newness of the Super Bowl performance, which I think it was sparked by In Living Color, because back in the day they took viewership from the Super Bowl during halftime because they did a halftime show. Then the NFL came back out and they said, "Nah, we're going to do a show," and then Mike's on there and all this other stuff. So during that time, it was like, okay, who can we get? And then you had the Nipplegate, which we have something about that. So
yes.
Then they were like, oh no, we got to do a show, but we got to make it boring. And so whoever they put on there,
that's
Katy
exactly
Perry
what happened.
Or whatever, it had to appease everybody and be PC. And the world's not really like that. So it was lame. And then once people got fed up with the NFL, they brought in Jay-Z and said, hey, well, you figure it out. And he did. And he's every year, he has brought out artists that specialize in that particular state, that particular city where the Super Bowl is. So, like for Miami, it was Shakira and J-Lo. And for LA, it was Dr. Dre. And now for Vegas, guess what? It's Usher, because he's done over 100 shows for his residency. So he's made it his home over 2 years. It makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I think that formula, along with a few other things, has served him well. And I think those, with the exception of a few outliers from before Prince, I think that this era has the best performances.
I think that, so I'll just make it quick for my 3. It's not hard. I think mine are the same. It's Michael Jackson, and then it's Usher, Prince. It's just so hard to decide between, because the connection I have to Prince's songs and him as a musician is the same. But if I take out my personal feelings about both of them and just judge them based on their Super Bowl show, I think Usher's going to be 2, and Prince will probably be 3. Like you said, I love Madonna. I had to honorable mention her, Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, and I like the J-Lo and Shakira show as well.
Right.
But I didn't, all my Latin friends want to fight me about that. But there was no way that was the best Super Bowl show ever. I'm glad it's always
good.
It's always good to see your people represented. You know what I mean? Because and I understand that.
But they didn't have that dynamic like the way Usher and all his.
It just totally like you said, it
was
wasn't
good.
It was good. Yeah, because I love both of them.
They were not happy to share the spotlight.
It didn't seem like it.
And it was obvious.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it. Yes. Shakira, but her hips don't lie, though. I'm just saying. Shakira's hips don't.
So, final thoughts on the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts, Doc?
I thought the show was fantastic. I thought the show was more exciting for me than the game because my Saints weren't in it. The Bucks weren't in it. Shout out to my man Lamar.
You weren't watching to see Taylor Swift?
I don't
No.
mind. You know what? Okay, we didn't talk about
She
that.
has made millions for the NFL.
The NFL
so
needs to be okay. So
they can't hate on her as much.
I don't
as they
hate on
do.
Taylor Swift. The NFL should be happy
Grateful.
for what she's brought to the because she, her man's jersey's like selling like crazy. People paying attention to him, they know who he is. People are watching NFL. The Swifties made Football for Dummies like the #1 selling book in the country for a time period because they all wanted to learn about football because she was so good for her, good for the Swifties. You know what I'm saying? We talked about this on another episode. She's not my favorite artist, not my least favorite. Either. She's good. She seems to be a happy, positive person. So the world needs more of that. So I'm happy for her success, and I'm happy to see this, the attention she brings to you. Yeah,
in football.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, good for that. Yeah, so
Yeah, it's against my religion to hate, so it's whatever. I'm indifferent. Do your thing.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so so good for Taylor Swift and those guys. But yeah, like I said, so I like the halftime show better because, like I said, my Lamar Jackson, my number 3 team, the Ravens, they didn't make it. Hopefully they do next year, or the Saints or the Bucks. You know what I mean? I don't think the Saints or the Bucks have the quarterback to get them there, to talk about the football piece of it. The 49ers, I know I've done some charity stuff with some of the old school 49er Hall of Famers with Ronnie Lott and Roger Craig and Jerry Rice. So I was kind of pulling for them, and Kansas City pulled it off. While she's pulling us up, what do you think about, what were your thoughts about the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl itself was good. Absolutely enjoyed the performance. For me, been a big fan of Usher since I saw him that day on Video Soul on BET as a young 11 or 13-year-old.
When that was his first album. Yeah.
And then, he just blew up from there. So I grew up with him. It was great to see him perform. And like he said, he brought the world to the A. It was amazing.
Yep. What about you? Before you tell us this, because we want to know these Tampa people who played, but tell us your thoughts about the Super Bowl and the halftime performance.
Well, I always watch the Super Bowl. That's the only game that I really watch the whole game. And one of my kids is playing football now, so I have a newfound interest, definitely. I grew up during the Troy Aikman, the Cowboys winning streak.
I liked the
I
Pittsburgh Steelers just because I hated the Dallas Cowboys and Terry Bradshaw.
My dad was obsessed with the Cowboys for some reason, so that's what I grew
America's
up.
team.
Yeah.
And I use air
God's
quotes.
team. That's what he said. But yeah, so I definitely can appreciate what football brings to the United States, and obviously it's not the most popular, as people don't want to admit that, but obviously the rest of the world,
Yeah.
But
Soccer's the biggest sport
Absolutely.
worldwide, but
if you ask
even
the average
NFL is
American
being
that,
played in Europe now.
They won't even know the answer, ironically, but. I think the show was amazing. Of course, I love Usher. I was very happy. It was worth staying up until midnight.
Hey, that's
know
what
what I
it
mean?
is. Hey, it's a great discussion about the halftime show. I absolutely loved it. Thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you for
We hope to
having
have
me.
you back
It was
again.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes,
definitely.
this is great. Hey, thanks for sticking around and finishing this episode with us. Catch us on the next one. New topics coming up, and also a new segment. So stay tuned.